Hello, hello, hello. It's me, Michelle, your vanilla horror host of Coffee Fueled Stories. A fresh brewed episode is taking place right now with Angela Yuriko-Smith. Hello, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. It is an honor and a thrill to be here, and I can't wait to hear what we're going to talk about.
Oh, this is going to be so good. So let's fill the listeners in real quick to let them know a little bit about you, who you are. You are the current HWA president, which is Horror Writers Association, and there's a lot
Yes.
more to you than that. But with that as a start, why don't you share a little bit more about yourself, and then we're going to deep dive into some of these awesome stories of yours.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say, since I've become Horror Writer Association president, I feel like that is all that's left of me. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm managing my schedule, which is difficult. That is my biggest trial. I also publish Space and Time magazine. I have a background. My background is in newspapers. Don't be a hater. I quit back in I can't remember. I retired. And then I decided to write fiction because, why not? Like, it's a second life for me. Started writing fiction in 2010 and was actually on a dare, and I won't go too much into it. It was a fight actually at a nonfiction conference, and overheard somebody say, nonfiction writers can't write fiction because they don't have an imagination. And then I piped up with, well, I'm a very nice person, but I feel like it's two sides of the same coin. We have to kind of polish up the nonfiction to make it interesting and, put the reality in the fiction to make it believable. But anyways, we almost got kicked out of the Southwest Writers Conference because we were pretty much like yelling at each other because he wouldn't back down and I was right. But that was when I started writing fiction because I was like, I'm going to prove him wrong. I wish I knew who he was because I'd apologize and be like, dude, you were right because here I am still writing fiction, like waited over a decade now. But then it's just been fun. It's just been a really fun thing to, instead of reporting on worlds, create worlds. I had some success with Bittersweets was my first Stoker nomination. And then in 2020, just things kind of blew up because we had Black Cranes, and that was Genevieve Flynn and Lee Murray edited that, and then just lots of chaos. It's been fun. It's been exhausting. I'm here for it. That's all I can think of to say.
No, that's fabulous. I actually didn't know about your journalism background. That actually
Oh,
is
that's
my
so cool.
background as well. Uh,
Oh, that's awesome. So yeah, so no hate here. We
no,
understand.
no. So it's very
Yeah, and he
interesting you
was
say
wrong,
that.
right? He was totally
Absolutely.
wrong.
Absolutely. I love writing horror flash. I love, playing. I don't do a lot of fiction, but I can do fiction. My background is more technical writing. I love SOPs. So,
Hmm.
but I started out as a journalism major before I switched to English in university. But not this is not about me because I want to dive into you. So you had mentioned Black Crane. So thank you for
Hmm.
sharing your stories, by the way. That cover
Welcome.
for Black Cranes is fabulous.
I have it right here. Yeah, that was, well, this is the second cover. I don't know which cover you actually have because it's been published twice now.
It was the one with the fan and the blood coming from the eye.
Oh, yeah, that was the original one. Oh, look, there's spiders all over the back of this. So very
Okay,
spooky.
no.
I haven't pulled it out in a while.
As long as they're not what is it? Tarantulas. Yeah, no.
Yeah, yeah, no tarantulas, darn it.
We're
Mm.
gonna we're gonna talk about
Uh,
that too.
yeah, that is so funny. Did I send you the link to that video? Did I always regret that? And also,
No, no, I don't have the
oh,
the link to the video, so you'll have to send that to me. But I am not a
yeah,
fan of spiders. So that one, I literally have the words heebie-jeebies. I got the heebie-jeebies.
that is hilarious. Yeah,
Uh,
I'm with you though. I get it because I used to be so afraid of spiders, I would hyperventilate, like a lifelong terror. And we moved to New Mexico where there's lots of black widows, like everywhere. And I had three small kids, and I was terrified that they were going to be bitten and die of black widow bites. And so one day I found like a big one. I'd opened up a door that I normally didn't go in, and you know how they just love that. So he was like, or she was right there. And I decided to have a mom teaching moment. And so it did take me like 3 hours, but I caught the thing in a water bottle so I could show the kids this vicious, terrible thing that will kill you. And this is why you don't put your hands underneath the furniture ever. But anyway, so I caught this thing. I'm hyperventilating the whole time. It was pretty pathetic. But then I'm such a softie. I couldn't. What do you do with it after you've caught it? Like you can't really let it go in the world because it's like a murderer. But it's yours now. It's your murderer. So I wound up naming it Elvira and keeping it in that bottle and feeding her flies. And we became great friends. And I lost my fear of spiders over Elvira. And then flash forward, I started collecting. It's been a while. I can't remember what the Latin name for them is anymore, but that particular kind of Latrodectus, a Latrodectus spider, which is a widow. And so I found brown widows in Florida, and I would collect them and keep. That was Cornelia. And then I found out the Australian redbacks. Whew, do not mess with them. They are more like tank girl. So because I caught one of them in a bottle, and they can't climb glass, right? Wrong. In Australia, they do climb glass. And so I like go out of the shed. I'm like super proud of myself because I have an amazing specimen. That was Matilda. And then I look and she's on the top of the bottle, getting ready to like jump down and get her well-deserved revenge because really I'm capturing her and enslaving her for life of imprisonment. For my own entertainment, I do get that. Um, but murderers, right? So, but yeah, so anyways, that's my whole spider story. You probably didn't want to know, but that's how I lost my fear of spiders.
That's an amazing story. And the best part about it was because you had a mom teaching moment. So it was kind of like that, it became pivotal. You were like, you were the mama bear, and you were like, okay, I need to protect these little babies from this thing here. And so, so that's actually inspirational. So I'm hoping I can do that. Snakes and spiders are not really my friends. I actually did have a snake moment last weekend that I'm very proud of. I normally freak out and like kind of lose my crap, but I was on a trail and the snake actually was slithering away, and I actually let everybody know on the trail. I was like, there's a snake right there. There's a snake right there. Don't. So I actually had a pivotal moment as well
That's
because I
awesome.
but I don't I don't know if I'll ever have.
Oh, I get it though. Like I said, I'm not going to ever be like, oh, you're scared of spiders. They're so amazing. Which now I do feel like they are amazing.
They are.
But yeah, I was right there. I'm hyperventilating. If I knew there was a spider in the room, like I'd seen it crawl up the curtains or something, that room is sealed off. We are not going back in that room. We don't know where it went. So I went from that to this is my redback Australian redback spider. Look how fascinating she is. And yeah, I do have that double guilt of like, but I murdered all the flies that I fed her. Like, where does the circle of life end? Like, when am I not guilty? So,
Totally. Totally. And but to be honest though, everything in Australia will try to kill you. It pretty much can kill you. So
oh
it's a
yeah,
avoidance at the highest level. So,
yeah.
it's kill or be killed.
Oh
Literally.
yeah, yeah. And if it's not going to kill you, it's bigger than you. So even the kangaroos, I thought like, oh, kangaroos are so cute. And I ran up to it all like super American, oh, it's like on Bugs Bunny. I'm gonna cuddle it. And thank goodness there was a chain link fence between us because they do want to keep the tourists alive. And it was like way bigger than me, but it was just like you could tell the attitude. It was like, I'm gonna fuck you up. And I was like, oh, you're not cuddly at all. Same thing with cows. I mean, I love animals, as you can. I am also an animal idiot. Like, oh, it's just some sharp teeth. Let me go touch it. Because it just wants to be touched by me. Everything fuzzy I must touch. So, we won't even get into that guilt and problem. But yeah, that was cows too. I ran up, "Ah, cows, and they're just like so much slime
Oh.
from the nose. I was just like, oh, no, no, it's okay. I won't touch you. So,
Oh my gosh. Oh my
but
gosh.
anyways, those are
That's
my horror stories.
that's I love it. I thank you for sharing. Like I said, and that's the beauty of the show, sharing stories. So thank you. Um, I wanted to ask you, speaking of, so here's the segue. Animals, black cranes. Let's bring it into
Mhm.
black cranes. So the I remember the very first one of the very first stories, Japanese folklore. I think that I don't know if that's the right term, maybe. So correct me if I'm wrong. But
No, that's good.
the crane wife was one of the most like I learned that story in my children's lit class and I just thought it was like the most amazing, beautiful, painful, but just it's beautiful and painful. Like the crane wife story.
Yeah,
Like I can't get enough of that story.
yeah, yeah. I think that's like a really Asian thing too, is that pain is beautiful. Like suffering has an element of beauty in it because that's a lot of them. Like even like kids say there's always like this beautiful sacrifice kind of seems to have to go hand in hand.
That's that's so like one of my favorite things is kintsugi. Like I
Hmm.
think the concept of kintsugi is amazing because you have this broken piece of pottery and you think that it's not it doesn't have purpose anymore, right? It's
Yeah,
useless. But then you fill it with this, gold and glue and lacquer and it serves a purpose. It's
yeah,
it's still beautiful. And
yeah. I think that's one of the things that you find different. Did I lose you?
no, I'm still here.
Oh, weird. Okay, sorry. The window disappeared. I think one of the things that's also true, and I'm going to say like a Western culture, Eastern culture thing. Not that I'm an expert of either. I'm barely able to. Yeah. Anyways, but in Eastern culture, it is like very true that elderly are venerated. Like we love the elderly. In Western culture, let's think of it in an old folks' home a lot of times. Nobody wants to hear grandma's stories about or see her azalea pictures. Like we don't have that. But that's kind of like kintsugi is you're taking the thing that has lived a life. It died. It's been chipped and shared and loved. And that's old people. And then you're making it a treasure. And now it's something, to put on a high shelf, but probably still like use, honestly, because if you chip it again, you're just gonna put more gold on it. So that's my plan. That's my retirement plan, by the way. I'm not gonna get plastic surgery. I'm just gonna start like plastering myself with gold and glue, resin, whatever that is they put on there, and I will be held together beautifully.
I love
Especially as we're
that.
starting to get like the bionic stuff going, I just feel like a very beautiful Terminator.
Okay.
That's how I want to be.
That is awesome. And I love thank you for saying that because one of the I loved so I was an only child. I still am an only child. Um
I'm an only child, so
hey,
they're the only children.
my favorite thing to do, I know this is going to sound crazy, but my favorite thing to do was go and sit with the old people and put puzzles together and talk with them and hear. I actually loved hearing. I was a 10-year-old kid and I was like, "Tell me your stories." And the guy was and he was like, "Well, do you know what World War II was?" And I was like, no, what is that? And he was like, well,
Tell me everything.
yeah. And he was like, well, when I was 17, I was a soldier and I didn't know where. And I literally just sat there mesmerized. I was just like, wow. And then I would come back and I went, hey, did you know that the guy down, two doors down, he was in World War II and he used to fly planes? And no, I've lived next to him for, 5 years and I didn't even know his name. I was like, oh, well, that's Johnny or whatever. But I just
Yeah.
thought it was the coolest thing to sit and talk with old people. So, um, I kind of see that was me going off the rails because I actually did want to tap back into
Oh,
the black cranes
no.
and
I think that's awesome.
you had mentioned about the kintsugi, so the bionic part, and I was like, oh, I was like, Skin Dowdy. We got to talk about the Skin Dowdy story because I wanted to ask you. So there's two things about it. Did you intentionally pick her name Leilani, the Hawaiian version, which is Heavenly Flower or Heavenly Child?
I picked the version that my mom was going to name me when I was a child. That's why I picked that name, which was the Hawaiian version because she was born in Hawaii. So yeah, so that's so funny that you even mentioned that because I was like, Leilani, why did I pick that? Oh yeah, because I was supposed to be Leilani, but it was too cultural. And at that time you didn't want to go with anything too cultural because you wanted to sound white because you wanted your children to be white passing, which I
Yes.
am.
It's and
So,
like funny you said, my mom's from Argentina. She was born and
mhm.
raised in Buenos Aires. And when they came to America, like I don't speak Spanish. I had to learn it in high school because they wanted to
Mhm.
assimilate. And she married
Yeah,
a white guy, and I don't look any like, yeah, I mean, you know what I mean? So I get
yeah,
it. I totally get it. So same thing.
yeah,
I couldn't have had a more white sounding name, white looking
yeah.
face. So Skin Dowdy, that's very interesting about that as well. And I wanted to ask you, did you see the movie Cherry 2000?
I did not. I have seen so few movies in my life. It's really sad. But no, is it an anime? Like, is it
N-
animated? I wanted to
no,
sound cool and say animated like a cartoon, but I just
no,
blew it.
no. So she's a sex robot. And
Oh,
so I kind of had a little bit of this guy becomes obsessed. He buys a Cherry 2000 and it's his favorite. And she breaks and he goes on this quest to find another Cherry 2000. And Melanie Griffith is like one of her oldest movies, or not oldest, one of her, beginning movies. And so, and it's,
yeah.
it's terrible. The movie itself is like, it's like not even a B movie. It's like a D movie. But for some reason I had Cherry 2000 in my head with your character of
Oh, that's awesome. Well, and I don't know if I sent it or not, but I'm trying to think of the name of that story. Perfect Girlfriend is about a sex robot. And it's another story that I have, and she's a repurposed riot doll. And so when there was riots in this world, which is all the bittersweets world, when there's riots, how they would handle it is they would drop basically robotic sex workers down in the riot. And what will stop a bunch of guys throwing Molotov cocktails but some sexy sex robots? So, and she is a repurposed riot doll. That's what they called them. And she is now actually working for, I don't know, should I give spoilers? Anyways,
you
it's about sex robots and an assassin. And it ends, that was my first happy ending story, I think, in my entire life. Because, yeah, I guess that I'm terrible with spoilers. So I guess I shouldn't say anything else if
no,
you wind up reading it or anybody wants to read it. But
no I
yeah, funny you should mention that because I have a story about a sex robot.
awesome. And what you did with her was just abs like I could literally like see her eyelashes. I could like the hair, the tattoos glowing. So that's gonna lead
Yeah.
to actually so the tattoos, I have a question about the tattoos. So you mentioned the now I apologize for my pronunciation, so I'm gonna do
Oh
my best here.
no,
Kaminchu,
Kim
and
and
the
Chu.
Kaminchu, okay, and then the Hajichi.
Oh, Hajiti, yeah. Oh, Kamenchu. Are you in Tortured Willows?
That right, and that so from Tortured Willows, you had mentioned about the tattoos, and
Yeah.
so
I'm
I
trying
wanted
to
to.
remember Kamenchi. I think I don't have that name in my head right now.
So
Kam-
the women who were the mediums, the word is with a Y. The Utah, is it
oh,
the
Yuta. Yeah.
okay? The Utahs had the tattoos, and so I wanted to ask if you had any tattoos, any of this particular type of tattoo that the Utahs would have.
I don't yet, but I actually have a plan to get the tattoos. But they were actually all women of Okinawa would have these tattoos. And then the Japanese colonialism outlawed them, but they were the most precious thing that a woman of Okinawa would have because they were a rite of passage and they would grow, they would develop. They were always on the back of the hand, well, the hands, and then there could be other tattoos as well, but they were on the back of the hands and they would represent different things. at different points in a woman's life. They would start when she was about 10, I think, and just kind of develop. And so when the women were old, they would have these amazing tattoos, but they were to mark different points in their life. They were more precious than children or your husband, because a husband can die or leave, children can die or leave, but your tattoos will always be with you as long as I mean, that you really ought not to be separated from them, I'll just say. So it is my plan to get tattoos. You could tell what island you were from. Like my family actually came from the main Okinawa island, so I know which tattoos to get for that. But different islands had different tattoos. And one of the things that about those tattoos that was really, I thought, very cool was Okinawans are egalitarian. They're not matriarchal or patriarchal, though some scholars used to say they were matriarchal because they didn't understand if like one gender has to rule, one gender has to be more important. But in Okinawan society, it was always egalitarian. Men do men things, women do things that women are good at, and then they work together as like yin and yang, two halves. The shisa, there's the male, female shisa are a huge important part of Okinawa. But so, anyways, ocean, islands, pirates, young girls would get snatched all the time to be enslaved by pirates and sold. So the Okinawan merchants would go around and they would see the tattoos on a girl's hand, and they would know she's Okinawan, she's one of the island people. So they would actually do whatever it took. They would use their fortunes to buy them. They would, kidnap them back. They would, whatever it took to return those girls back to the islands.
That is, I had no idea that. Thank you for sharing that. And I had no idea that when I asked you that question that it would lead to something so crazy cool. Um,
Yeah.
so real quick, I have some questions from a few
Mhm.
people. So Lisa Vasquez from Memento Mori Inc. I have a
She's
question.
awesome.
I have actually, I think, three questions from her. And then Paul Cairo from the Horror Writers Association LA chapter has a question.
Oh, nice.
And then this is the question that I'm so excited to ask you. My friend from grad school, her name is Kelly Shimabukuro, and she is Okinawan. Her family is from Hawaii,
Oh,
and they are Okinawan. So I have a
awesome.
question from her to ask you. So
Okay.
I'm
I don't
gonna.
know if I can answer it, so I'll just prepare you, but I'll try.
I have a feeling this is a safe one. So she and I call each other. So she calls me Michelle-san, and I call her Kelly-san. So this is my question from Kelly-san. Um, how has your heritage shaped your stories? For example, do you have any favorite yokai, and how has that played a role in your work?
I I do. And the funny thing, and especially somebody who is Okinawan, I didn't find out that Okinawan was different from Japanese genetically, language, the whole bit, until I think I was about 35. Because when the Okinawans came over my family also came to Hawaii. They either came to Hawaii or Brazil. And I know in general, there's, people went other places, of course, but that was the two main uh, groups that left. And that's actually why we're in Brazil right now, because we're researching the Brazilian Okinawan Yuta. But that's for another story. So I found out when I was about 35 that there was even a difference. Nobody wanted to talk about it because Okinawans were considered under Japanese at the time. This is how it was explained to me, anyways. And Japanese were under the white people. And my family was the Yuta of the Okinawans. So we were the witches of the people that were under the people that nobody wanted to be, And so there was this big hierarchy of let's keep our identity secret. And so at 35, it was like kind of this, whole thing about like Okinawans are not Japanese. And I'm going to say, honestly, I was like, huh, that was how much I cared. I was like, okay. It didn't really matter to me at the time. Then flash forward to Tortured Willows. And I mean, I grew up with a lot of those influences, but I'm definitely a mixed child. So I was always the weird one that never fit in because, like, why is seaweed not delicious? Why are you all grossed out in fifth grade that I'm eating seaweed? It is the most delicious. And why is there not soy sauce on everything on your plate? Disgusting. But anyways, so Tortured Willows, it was going to be four of us, Christina Singh, Lee Murray, Genevieve Flynn, and myself. We're just going to put together this little poetry book. And it was going to be about what our personal heritage meant to us. And of course, mine is mixed. So I figured I would write some poems about, my grandmother had hella tiny feet, and I have hella tiny feet, and da 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 da, things like that. That really, it was just going to be another poetry collection. Instead, I wound up deep diving into Okinawa and colonialism and the fact that they're still fighting this today. The UNICEF has recognized them as a distinct people that should have their island back. Japan and the US have not, because they get to keep all their military bases on there. I don't want to go too far into the politics. But so that's what I started finding out. And so I kind of went through this month of mourning, kind of like I have a people? Weird. And look, I get it. I thought it was just me that danced that way. We all dance that way. Like it was like a weird recognition, I could see myself in these people that I had never really identified with much outside of like seaweed and and then it went to it almost reminded me of like the 5 stages of grief. Then it was like shock that, and what happened to them? And that's never happened to any other culture in the entire world. And I'm like super angry and incensed. And what? There's war everywhere. So it was like peeling back the layers of the onion until I got to this heart of who I was. And then it kind of like everything that I had been doing in my career up till that point fell away. And I was like, this is the most important thing, that I can try to be that voice. So everything I've written since has tried to I'm not the voice because I'm not an islander. I've never even been to Okinawa. So I don't want to claim it as like my culture. But kind of more like I'm white enough to talk about it and Okinawan enough to have the shock, I guess, the attachment that this happened. And yeah, it happens everywhere, but this is what happened to my grandmother, my grandmother's grandmother. And so yeah, it colored everything after that. Before that, I really wasn't, I mean, there's like whispers, of my heritage in there. And as far as yokai, it would be the Nikekubi. I actually saw one for real before I ever knew what a Nikekubi was in Sweetwater, Tennessee. Oh, that's a poem in Tortured Willows. But yeah, I saw her and I didn't know what an Nikekubi even was, never heard of it until I was doing the research for the same book and somebody mentioned a headless ghost that and described an Nikekubi. And I was like, I have seen one. Like, that was very real. And then Shisa also, I love Shisa, and I just feel like everybody needs some Shisa because they're guardians, and yeah, they bring us luck, and all Shisa are real Shisa, and you don't have to be Okinawan to have some. I just feel like we all need to have some Shisa icons. So
Those are the lions, right?
yeah, they're lion dogs. They're modeled after the Fu lions, but they're
Yes.
actually dogs, and they're always male and female pairs. One has the mouth open, scaring away the bad luck. One has the mouth closed to seal in the good luck. Yeah, and they're just amazing. So at April 3rd is Shisa Day.
Oh, very cool. I didn't know
Yeah.
that. That is really cool. I thank you for that. So Angela, I wanted to ask you, is there a story, whether from folklore or childhood, that just messed you up really bad or like messed with your head? Or was it kind of like what you were talking about that with the head that you were talking about?
Oh, in real life, yeah, the Nikekubi
Yeah.
definitely scared me. Um, I'm going to say no because horror was my happy place, like always. Because we did have there used to be a demon that would and it's childhood, right? Demon that
Yes.
would hover over my bed every night with a scorpion tail and like all this stuff. So that was normal to me. So when I found horror, it was like, oh wow, okay, so I'm not the only one, you know. And so there's no story that messed me up. from childhood. The story I couldn't finish though was Jack Ketchum's Girl Next Door, and he's the nicest guy. Yeah, he was the nicest guy. So sweet. But also, like, that book is hella scary. I couldn't finish it. I think it's the kids, or I don't know. There's just so many elements that I couldn't stomach. But he's the sweetest guy. But then he was like, oh yeah, he lived in Destin and I lived in Niceville at the time, which was like right there. And so at some convention, he was like, hey, we should get together, like while you're down there, not like datey thing, like
Yeah,
writer thing.
just yeah.
We should get together while you're down there and like hang out and stuff. You can come stay at my thing and like, we'll party or whatever. And I remember being like, oh yeah, of course. I'm like, oh hey man, I read Girl Next Door. No way. You seem like a nice guy in the parking lot and I'm bumming smokes from you, but so no, and I realize I'm going off on a tangent again. So I promise I was going to be good. So.
It's all good. Final question. Do you avoid the number 4, and do you do things in 3s or 5s instead?
I don't avoid the number 4. That's actually my lucky number if you go for feng shui and stuff. But 4 and 14, which I find appropriate since I'm also a Scorpio and death is our thing. But yeah, I do a lot of 3s and 5s. I'm neurodivergent as well, so I think that plays into it. So I don't know how much is cultural, and I don't know how much is just me, and my own little weirdnesses. But yeah, 3 is, everybody knows 3 is a lucky number. Do everything in 3s. It's 3, it's the legs of the cauldron. It can't hold up if it's not 3. And then 5 is and then you've got the Loshu magic square. And yeah, I could go all down numbers, but so yes, I mean, no on the 4. I love 4.
It's funny they say that because my lucky numbers are 3, 4, and 9. And I'm like,
Oh,
well,
interesting.
how can 3, 4, and 9 be my lucky number when 4 is supposedly a bad number, like a bad luck number? And I'm like, that's really
Yeah,
confusing to me. As
it's
I'm
all
trying to understand
perception
different code.
though.
Yeah, I was like, I'm trying to understand. I'm
Yeah,
like,
it's all intention, like magic. It's all intention. If you think it's going to be an unlucky number, like horror writers, a lot of times we love 13, and it's a
yeah,
great number.
yeah,
We made that happen. If you believe 13 is going to be a bad number, though, well, So, but it's because it sounds like death. It sounds like the word is a
right. It's a homonym,
homophone
right?
homonym. Thank you.
Homonym,
Yeah.
homonym. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think it's lucky. Death is great. I mean, we write about it all the time. It's fun.
So thank you for answering Kelly Son's question.
Yeah, absolutely.
Here's a good funny story for you. So she is, like I said, she is my dear, dear, dear friend, and we did a couple of episodes where we talked about horror as healing, because it can be very
It's
cathartic.
very healing.
Yes. And when we were talking, we were sharing one of our favorite stories from grad school, and we read some Jamaica Kincaid. So my emphasis. So we're both double lit majors, and my major is British lit from the Renaissance, and also post-colonial world lit post-colonial studies. So anytime you start talking post-colonial studies, like that's our jam. Like we can nerd out on that. Which reminds me, so let's see if you can see this mug. I like to say it's the NPR of horror.
Oh, that's funny.
Because we do like to nerd out a bit. So we studied some Jamaica Kincaid, and I found out that Jamaica Kincaid was actually a guest lecturer at the Claremont Colleges, which was only about an hour from where we lived. And
Oh, wow.
we had this whole plan, Angela. We were going to take our textbooks and we were going to crash her office hours on campus at this prestigious university, and we called it the Jamaica Kincaid Caper.
Oh, that's awesome. She would have loved it though. Did you guys do it?
We did not. We were afraid. We were too scared.
Oh my goodness. This is why old people have all the fun because old people are like, I'm just doing it. I have no future to lose. I'm doing it. So, oh my goodness, she would have probably loved it
Oh my
too.
God.
Honestly.
I wrote to her too. I wrote to her and I was like, we want to come visit you. But we never heard anything back. But we had this whole elaborate plan. to go and take our textbooks, to go have her sign our post-colonial textbooks. But it
Yeah.
never did happen. So, and needless to say, it's something I have a feeling that the two of us, are going to talk about that in the old people's home for sure. That we should have done that.
Yeah, well, you'll find new things to do that are even better. We missed our chance with her, but you know who else is in town?
I can see us doing that. We're gonna get to a point where
Yeah.
we're gonna look at each other and we're gonna have that look and we're just gonna go, yeah, it's on.
Oh, well, and you're safer when you're older because people are not gonna like take grandma off to jail or like push her out the door. They'll just be like, "Oh, or you lost grandma." No, I'm just wanting to get my textbook signed. Don't touch me. So you'll totally get away with it. The future is with the elderly. That is where the fun starts happening.
Oh, I look forward to it. I actually am looking forward to. I'm hoping to have like a pink mohawk, and I'm gonna have bumper stickers all over my little scooter,
Mm,
or my wheelchair. I'm gonna be all punk rock. I don't deny it.
yeah, yeah.
That's awesome. I do have a few more questions that I'd like to ask you from Paul, one from Paul, and then Lisa as well. So Paul wants to know, will there be a self-published novel category for Stoker Awards? Because self-published feels underrepresented.
That's okay. I struggle with English, so it's my first language. Um, so I am a writer. This is why we're writers, right? Because words are
Yes,
hard to say.
and we like to make new ones.
Exactly. I really love this question. It's Paul, right?
Yes, Paul.
Well, Paul, as a self-published author myself, and in the very beginning, when I was deciding to publish, and maybe this is a journalist thing, I couldn't see why I wanted to really jump through all the hoops because it's a fact. And I'm not trying to diss traditional publishing or say that one is better than the other, but if you want to get your work out there, it's easier to do it self-publish. The flip of that is, of course, you got to make it professional, and we don't need to go into that because we all know that, and that's like 5 hours of discussion. But so no, there is probably not going to be a self-publishing category anytime soon. But um, it is my personal goal to see a self-published book win a Stoker. It would be the first. I've done a lot of research on this as an advocate of self-publishing, and I probably have my numbers off, so don't quote me. And please do some research on this. But from my calculating and from what I remember from my notes, which was this about 2 years ago, I was doing this. There was only five of all the books that have ever gotten a Stoker nomination. There have been five, and I think four of them were in poetry. And then I was the first long fiction self-published work. And then I think somebody came with a novel after me and got a nomination. So one of the main reasons that I wanted, well, there's many reasons that I published in Eugenie, which is my very last book. But one of my huge ones is I wanted to get a Bram Stoker for that book because it's self-published. It's not happening this year for me. I did not get on the long ballot. But we need this to happen. Okay. I should watch what I say because I don't want everybody to say, oh, she's pushing self-published books. No, I have nothing to do with the Stokers other than like my signatures on the certificate. But I really, really, really would love to see some self-published books represented. A few things that are ahead. I don't know if anybody knows Dale L. Roberts, who is a self-publishing guru. He's got self-published with Dale all over YouTube. I think he's got like 100,000 followers and stuff. He is a horror writer by chance, and so he is joining up with the HWA. Mark Lefevre, who I always forget what he did for Kobo, but he was with Kobo like in the very beginning, like one of the founders or adjacent to founders. But he's a horror writer. So not Orna Ross, Joanna Penn. Pretty much everybody knows Joanna Penn. Writes dark fantasy. So I'm trying to pull some of these uh, these self-publishing people that are very good at what they do into the Horror Writers Association circle so that they can help us with knowledge and representation and yeah, and just they're awesome people as well, so and I do feel like we could be more welcoming
Awesome.
to that
Uh,
genre. So yeah, I hope that this is a very long answer, and I apologize, but yeah, I'm very enthusiastic. So I don't want a self-publishing category. I just want to see self-published works in all the categories. Not saying at the expense of traditionally published books. All books are good. That's like saying a child is terrible. All books are wonderful.
totally. And then this is another question. Also, are there plans to increase the amount of anthologies released through HWA with blind submissions?
Um, I I hope so. I can't really answer that. A lot of that has to do with the agent and him seeing what he can sell. So basically, if we can get more interest in having anthologies from the HWA, then I would think yes. Just by the more anthologies means more spots. The agents and the publishers wind up really making a lot of those rules because it's based on what they think will sell. And so it's less a decision that the publishing committee can make. And I may be speaking totally out of turn, so I apologize if I am. But that's my understanding of how it works. It's less to do with what we want and more to do with what we can do, given all the parameters. But that we are looking at some ways that we can broaden that. Like we do have the poetry showcase, which is totally us. It's totally our people. And so we're looking at some things that we can do like that will broaden those opportunities to publish.
Thank you. So now to Lisa's question. So it's actually three-ish questions. So the question was related to when when you guys spoke with her on the podcast. It was just before you were getting ready to take the position. So she said, "How did you handle the transition, and how did you align with your incoming vision regarding being the president?"
I cried a lot. That's how I handled the transition. No, I'm kidding. But no, it wasn't. It wasn't easy. I didn't expect it to be easy. There was a lot of junk mail to clean out. That's one thing I remember. There was just so much email, and a lot of it was just layers of president's email, coming in that box. So a lot of that has been cleaned out. It was just really, I wanted to make myself available to everybody. So I almost killed myself in November, but I expected it. You know what I mean? Not almost killed myself figuratively,
Okay. It's like
not in any real way. I realize backing
I'm
up with what I just said.
I'm hyperbolic as well, so I get it.
Yeah. And I apologize. I'm recovering from a cold, so I keep
Oh,
coughing a little bit. So I had opened up November. I have a booking link, and so I just basically anybody who wants to talk to me, and this still stands. So that booking link can be shared, and if anybody wants to talk to me for any reason, book and we'll talk. We can talk about anything. You can be just about your book or whatever. You hate the HWA or you love the HWA. I'll talk with you. In March, that booking link got used a lot. I think the maximum was 12 meetings in one day. My operating premium is like 3. I can do 3 meetings in a day and still be happy. But I felt like it was important, and I'm glad that we did it. I talked to chapters and chapter heads and the social media, like everybody. I cannot remember anybody now because it was like a really busy month. And so no, December was fortunately kind of more quiet, so I could kind of recover. And then January has been kind of like, let's implement things now. So we had the town hall; those are quarterly now. We're looking at having, because we're a global organization, so we're looking at how we can have a town hall for the Southern Hemisphere times and the Northern Hemisphere times, so everybody can attend it live. Most of the board members are U.S. based, though, so that's part of the difficulty. Um, but that's a good opportunity for other people to come in and like run for office, which that's coming up. What are some of the other things? We have some things in the works. One is to be able to have a platform for all the chapters to be able to get together in one space, not on social media exposed to algorithms, but a safe place. It's a private network, and all the chapters will have their own individual space. I mean, this is actually, we're just getting ready to start inviting people. And then everybody have their individual space, but they can see each other and interact and go back and forth and have events in their space, and just kind of foster that feeling of community, because we are a community. We're the Halloween people. And I mean, bottom line, I mean, I could get into all those details, but I know we don't have a lot of time. But the basic idea is to just unite us as the Halloween people, because, as you mentioned earlier, horror is super important right now. It's a belief of mine. I have a Bram Stoker back here to say that people agree with me, that horror, we're the architects of hope. And it's because we are role playing horror. Things have gotten horrible in a lot of different ways. And I'm not being political or anything, just there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of diseases and tornadoes. And what's the plot that you would like to insert? Because we have it going on, I'm sure. There's no zombies yet, right? Have we not seen zombies yet? Because that's like the only thing. And then I've got like bingo. But us, we get that. We turn horror into like accolades. You know what I mean? We know what to do with it. And in 2020, excuse me, they found out that the people who are fans of horror and horror writers were the most resilient mentally. Like we
Yes.
Halloween people knew what was up. And
Yes.
introverts, hallelujah for the introverts, but horror writers. And so now I look at us as like we're the people with the flashlight. We know what could happen. We know what lies ahead possibly. We're like guides. We don't know where the bear is, but we know there's bears on this trail. And so we need to be able to shine that light for other people to follow along. You know, the romance writers and the mystery writers, they need us. And so I feel like there's no more important time for horror writers than this moment, for us to be united, a strong front. We're the most diverse and loving of all the genres because we know what it's like to be a monster. And we like the monsters sometimes, like usually. And sometimes we're the monster and we get it. And so yeah, anyways, I'm tirading. This is my soapbox. But whatever we can do to unite us as a strong front and support us, the Halloween people, because people also need a lot of support right now. That's the plan. And we're trying to do it through community. I spent last summer learning about community and what makes a strong community and what makes a inclusive community and a resilient community. And so those are the things that we're trying to implement through technology, because technology is awesome. We have lots of technology. No, I'm not talking about AI. I'm talking about mighty networks and getting together as people on Zoom is also technology.
Yes. Yes, I love it. And then so to your point, one of the things that I love that you put in your book, you had 100% human, how did you say it?
Um,
Uh,
I think it's
Human
100%
authored,
human authored.
author.
Yeah.
Yes. For your Destroy with Love 13 Tales of Unfiction. Which was
Yeah.
awesome. Thank you for sharing that, by the way. I know
Oh, thank you for
that's
reading it.
we that's kind of your I know we didn't really do a fabulous unveiling of that, so we can tap back into that, which, like I said, I thoroughly enjoyed it. And also, by the way, of course, Vanilla Rice, and we talked about vanilla horror, so the fact that you had a story called Vanilla Rice, I was just like, what? And it was beautiful and sad and just yeah, I love, like I said, I love your writing. And you were talking about like the happy endings, and just I was like, um we need to get some happy endings for sure. That's so again,
Hmm.
horror as catharsis, horror as healing. So having those happy endings, because we definitely need it. um
Yeah.
and then final question from Lisa. How do you plan to elevate women in horror? As a matter of fact, we're talking on the very last day of the month for women in horror. So this is a perfect question. Even though this is going to air in April, it's still Women in Horror Month. So awesome to have
Mhm.
you on the show. How do you plan to elevate women in horror that is different from previous seat holders?
Previous seat holders, like previous presidents,
Previous presidents, yeah.
I think. Yeah. I don't know because that's such a, as a woman in horror, I feel like that's just the state of things. So I'm right now working on an anthology with Pauline Chow, and it's actually Asian witchcraft. We're talking about where did all the Asian witches go, and so we have a lot of like great names that have come in on that. So, and the thing that I don't want to do is once we have our seat at the table, which I felt a lot more secure about a couple months ago. Now I feel like our seat is kind of being kicked out a little bit. I feel the need to defend it more. Uh, but I don't want to exclude, like once we have our seat at the table, we just want a place at the freaking table. We don't want to push other people out because the war needs to stop over who gets to sit at the table. It's a big freaking table. We can all fit there. And so I don't want to ever exclude, though. Yes, I guess in our Asian witchcraft anthology, it's all women. Um, but that's what happened. And I still do a lot of that. We need to keep having, I mean, I will confess that a couple months ago, I was saying, we are dividing our membership by having all the months so divided. Like we can only share Asian women during this month. We can only share Asians in this month. This is Black History Month and women in horror. And I'm going back on that 100% now that it has never been a more important time to highlight that DEI kind of it's but the point is to not be division. It's a spotlight. It is not a cone of silence.
Yes.
And so I want to have a lot more women things, but women. So I guess, I mean, I feel like that's saying I'm not supporting it, but I just want it. We don't need to be supported because this is our fucking table. I want to stop defending our seat. We are here and it doesn't need to go anywhere and we shouldn't have to defend it. I guess is where I'm going with that. But don't kick me out of a restaurant because I will defend my table and I will defend my seat there. So without being exclusionary, just cramming in as many of these opportunities as we can. And am I biased? Yes, because I am a woman in horror. So yes, I am very biased. But I will say, I didn't get that there was in all of the genres, I think ours is probably the least where I've never felt I couldn't be a part of this. I think that's partially the time that I came in, partially because I'm usually unaware of where I don't belong. Like you weren't invited at this party. I know, right? But it's a great party and I love it. Let's go. That's me. So maybe there has been that division, and that unwelcoming, and I just didn't realize it. But I also feel like we need to recognize it. We are here and we belong here, and this is our place as much as anybody. It shouldn't even be a question of how do we defend our seat at the table, because it just is. So I feel like I did not answer that question at all, but that's how I feel about it. It's like there's nothing to defend. There is plenty to defend, but I feel like we shouldn't have to defend it, but we will, you know.
Yes.
So
You actually, the part that really like I was able to hone in on was the fact that you said it's a spotlight. So like you said, here's the whole year, here's the spotlight, but
mhm.
it's not exclusionary. This is just the spotlight. It's literally it's just that. So
Yeah,
everybody's here. This just happens to be the spotlight. I like for me that
yeah,
works. So I thought that when you said that, I
yeah.
was like, nailed it.
If you take the timeline of history and publishing, the entire timeline, women are down here. We have that much of the timeline. It's a big freaking timeline.
Yes.
So I don't want to be like, now we're the only timeline. Get off the timeline. That's not what it's about. Though
No.
I think it's perceived that way sometimes. No, we
No.
just want to be on the timeline and we want to stay on the timeline because we're worthy of being on the timeline.
Yes.
Hello, did you not read Frankenstein? Started a whole that was somebody with boobs.
Yes, that is my favorite story.
I
That
know, right? It spawned so much, and that was about her miscarriage. That would not have happened if a man. Okay, I don't want to get
I was like,
dissing on men, but I'm
that's a
just saying that
show.
that's
That's a whole separate show. Yes.
it's a very unique perspective, though, that only
Yes.
Mary could have come up with. I'll just say.
Yeah, and I apologize. I realize so my face is very red. I just hit that magic point of womanhood, and my thermometer is permanently broken.
Oh my
I
goodness.
am just hot all the time now, and which is crazy because I used to be cold all the time. Now I'm like literally, I've got the fan blowing, I've got the window open. It's like 40 degrees out, and I'm just like,
Oh my goodness.
so
See,
yes, I
we're
understand.
together though, because I have my fan going because it's summer here. It's ending summer, and I'm like, oh, it's so hot. Please, I hope I don't have to turn my fan off for the mic.
Oh yeah, no.
I am also red.
So I will alter all of this with a nice filter because, like I said, I'm again. This is what happens when you white. I can't hide anything. I can't hide it. Uh, I get it. Um, so now I wanted to ask you now that I've asked my questions from my friends, and I have some questions for you. So I want to make sure I don't miss anything here. Oh, I thought it was kind of interesting. I am also reading Almakatsu Fervor, and
That book.
she is going to be a guest. She's got a new book coming out later this year, and so we will be
Mm,
talking about her book. But I thought it was really
yeah.
interesting that I am reading Fervor right now, and it has to do. My friend warned me, Kelly Shimabukuro warned me, spiders.
Oh yeah. I was rooting for the spider. Sorry.
She warned me. She didn't warn me. She's like, "You're gonna have to skip some pages." Um,
Yeah.
but so
Alma is so sweet. She has such a nice, fun, happy interview. I love her.
I'm super excited about that. So it was really cool to have to be reading some of her and to be reading some of you, and then to have, like I said, to be able to talk with you currently right now, and then her in the
Yeah.
future.
Oh
Um,
yeah. Well, I've read Fervor like 3 or 4 times now, and it was one of the books that I was researching. That was my grandmother. My grandmother went to an internment camp, and all of that experience, it was reading the Fervor was like, this is what my grandmother, who I'm named for, that's what Yuriko is, it's my grandmother's name, was just like, and so not getting political, but I'm just saying, when a lot of people a couple months ago were saying, "Oh, these internment camps can't happen," I was freaking out, going, "They just did, like literally." And don't tell me what we won't do to our people because we have seen it.
yes,
So
yes. I know. I'm like, did I pick the wrong book to be reading right now? Like,
I
I
know.
don't know. I'm like, I don't know. But I wanted to ask you about Japanese horror,
Mhm,
in relation to the Wind Up Bird Chronicle. Again, I read that, and there was some stuff that I just didn't understand culturally, and so I went to
mhm.
my friend Kelly-san, and I was like, Kelly-san, help me interpret this book. And even though it's not classified as horror, some of the
Mhm.
shit that went down in that book was downright horror.
Yeah,
Like Boris the Bear, good Lord, that guy. I am like still haunted by what he did to people. Like, oh my God.
yeah. See, and I haven't read the book. I haven't read the book, but I do. I know what you're talking about with Japanese horror. It's a different level of horror.
It's yeah, and like I didn't realize, and like I said, she had to help me, with the cultural stuff.
Mhm.
And so I always go to her. She's kind of like my I go to her before I go to the Googles.
Yeah,
And
I kind of want to meet her now. I'm just saying, like,
I love her. She's like I said, she's an amazing friend. And we met in the hallway waiting for class talking about spiders.
Oh,
So
that's hilarious.
our fear of spiders is how our conversation started in the hallway while we were waiting to go into our grad class. But I wanted to ask you, do you have a Maneki Neko by chance? With either a left paw up or a right paw up?
Oh, yes, actually I do. And mine is the one that has the to
The sit.
catch the luck and bring it in. And she sits, it's mine is a she. I don't know if they're all she's. Mine sits in the front window in between two shisa. So,
Look at
and she
you.
overlooks the house so that she can invite the luck in. And then the shisa are there to guard it, like make sure no bad luck gets in and stuff like that. Because, and you probably know this, in this culture, demons are real, ghosts are real. Like I grew up with them, I talked to them. Like I don't know Western culture. Interesting factoid, and then I will go back on track and promise I'll stay on track. But I've got a friend who's going through the DCMR5, the book that talks about what makes us crazy kind of thing. And she does this with astrology, like she's linking these things and do people have these in their star charts? And so one of the things that was interesting, we were talking about schizophrenia, and it says if you hear voices, that's a sign of schizophrenia, unless it's in your culture. And I just thought that was such a like, I was like, my God, that means voices are real people. Like, it means white people pretending they don't hear them, but they're there. The demon is real, guys. Listen to the demon and don't do what it says. Like, here's how you ward it off. Here's how you make a flu talisman. I got you. But it's real. The DCR whatever just said so. So but yeah, that's my last segue. And then I will promise I will be good. I will just answer the questions and behave myself.
No, I love it. Magical realism. I love magical realism because it's like when I was reading Bel Canto by Anne Patchett, I was
Mhm.
like, oh my God, that's my family. Like literally, I went to my mom and I was like, Mom, like did you have this, this fog?
Yeah.
And she was like, oh my God, yes. Like so I literally would read that, or I would read 100 Years of Solitude, sorry,
Hmm.
and a death foretold. I was like, oh my God, this so magical realism. Oh, and Allende,
Hmm.
um
Yeah.
a House of the Spirits. I was like, oh my God,
Yeah.
that's my family. Like so
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and so much of that is being proven now. Well, okay. We're just going to say like quantum physics and some of the stuff that goes on there. I'm like, go look up at the supernatural stuff, and science and supernatural and science and magic are starting to kind of mingle there. So just saying,
I love it. I love it. So
quantum physics, super interesting.
I love it. So now you were saying you live in Brazil. So we're finally getting
Mhm,
to the coffee. So you live in Brazil. Coffee is culture
mhm.
there. Like it's there. There's a drink called cafezinho.
Well, I mean, like a
I'm
Brazilian Americano.
I'm gonna have to look it up. I don't know. I saw the word and so I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to ask her about that.
Yeah.
So
When you put Zeno on something, it means little, like cute and little. So it could be like a little coffee.
okay. Yeah, like cafecito. So I wanted to look cafezino. Okay, you know what? We're wasting time on this one. I'll get back to you on that one. So how much, this is the normal question that I ask. How much coffee do you drink in a day?
Currently, two, sometimes three, maybe four tops. But I have been known to drink up to 16 a day when I was younger.
Oh, yeah, I
Can't
was
do it
like,
now. I have a heart
no,
attack.
no, for sure. And being that you are in Brazil, do you drink the Brazil origin or do you drink something else?
Oh no, Brazil origin. What the Brazilians send to America is the cast-offs. It's so different here. It's so good. Yeah, absolutely recommend it. Come to Brazil, coffee drinkers. It's incredible. You can actually pick it yourself too. Coffee. It can just be in your yard, and you can just pick your own coffee beans.
Oh
Yeah, I'm
my,
not that farmy. I looked at them. I thought it was very cool. I haven't picked a banana yet either, but they're also all over.
I love it. I love it. I would. So I lived in Turkey, which is a coffee culture as well. And so
Hmm.
I very much lived their coffee culture. I spent time in
Yeah.
Rome with a buddy of mine, enjoyed that coffee culture. I would love to experience Brazilian coffee culture. That would be absolutely
Yeah.
amazing. That
Yeah.
would be
Come
so
visit.
cool.
We'll go to a farm and actually like pick coffee and stuff. It'll be my first time because, get that's me on a farm. There's coffee. All right. I could go.
I love it. So, Angela, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for
Yeah,
the fabulous
absolutely.
stories. Um,
Too many. I'm sorry. I apologize.
no, that's what makes this. My cheeks hurt. Like I'm so happy that we finally got a chance to have the conversation. And I wanted to say that as the HWA president, like when I became a member of the HWA, like I felt like I found my people. So to be talking, I spoke with John Palisano and Lisa Morton at one time, and
Yeah.
to speak with you, like I really feel like thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. Well, thanks for being a member. That's exactly how I felt when I came in was, oh my gosh, I found my people. They laugh at my jokes instead of like calling help for help. It's amazing. There is a place for me in this world. So we're our
Yes.
people. We're the best.
I couldn't agree with you more. I couldn't agree with you more. And so on that note, thank you again for sharing your fabulous stories, sharing your poems, and answering my questions. And like I said, I would love for I almost at one time I almost had Kelly jump on. I was gonna ask her to jump on, but I knew she would be like terrified to do it. So thank you for answering her questions and just seriously sharing your time. It means the
Yeah.
world to me. So thank you so much.
Well, thank
Uh,
you. I think we have to do another show. I'm going to do it, and I'm going to invite you and Kelly on my show, and then we'll just do it again. I'll bring it back. I had it going for a while. I'm bringing it back. We're going to do that.
that would be awesome. We're totally, that would be, oh my God. Again, you're making my day again. So thank you so much. The way I usually sign off the show is I have the guests say, go forth and be magical.
You know what? That is, I absolutely believe that. Everybody go forth and be magical because the world needs it.